So here I was thinking about what I could discuss, at least in some relevant capacity, some intellectual capacity, some sort of capacity that I myself feel a little qualified to speak about. And it kind of just struck me that the perfect topic is one I've gone over a number of times, but ultimately at the end of the day, for whatever reason, I just haven't really actually made a video on it. That topic is, of course, nothing else but your own time. So let me explain a little bit. Regardless of what you do, whether you work blue-collar labor, whether you work white-collar labor, whether you work by a commission, whether you work on contract, whether you do temp agency work, whether you are self-employed, unemployed, etc., at the end of the day, everyone does have a finite amount of time. Especially in industries where 9-to-5s are no longer the norm, and in fact, it's more like 8 to 6:30s, and depending on the job, your time is ever increasingly finite. It's acknowledging this that's the first step to what I'm about to discuss today. So with finite time, there are an infinite amount of things that do want to address your time. They want to take your time. They want to fulfill and occupy your time. We'll do an example in the gaming sphere, for example. In the gaming sphere, how many live services do you know or do you currently play? Whether that's something like Destiny, whether it's something like Redfall, whether that's something like Smite, whether that's something like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, Halo Infinite, Fortnite, etc., etc. A live service on both the development side of things and the end user side of things is incredibly time consuming. It's time consuming for a developer like Bungie, a developer like Epic, right? Fortnite, to make this content, to make sure that it's as bug-free as possible, to make sure to have new things to catch new attention or capture old retention and keep that retention. And it's a undertaking on your part to utilize your time in such a way that you are spending a vast majority of your off time, if you will, in order to satisfy the quota and demands set forth by these games. For example, something like RuneScape 3 or even old school RuneScape, right? You can play from your mobile phone. So RuneScape 3, maybe you got to get some Elder Overloads done, or maybe you got to get some smithing and mass done, right? Well, you just hop on your mobile. Maybe you're on break or something. Maybe you're in the John, so to speak, and you can absolutely hop on your phone. You can absolutely give your time to this game. Something like Destiny, for example. I mean, if you are absolutely shafted on luck and you don't get any white border rolls, so for example, Rooted Nightmare, Rufus Fury, if you are like me who never really had a white border Rufus drop, effectively there is a pity system in the end game. You will, at a certain point, have to be doing the red border mechanic every single week, be gifted a red border at the end of the raid. If you have to go through that and then buy it every subsequent week, I mean, you can get up to 25 weeks. This is coming from somebody that, apart from the current server issues and apart from the current stability of the game, I honestly love running Rooted Nightmares. I honestly think it's great. For your average player, though, sometimes the grind is a little too excessive. I know I've watched creators like Asmongold go on about old World of Warcraft content, because I have never played World of Warcraft. It's never been my thing. I was more of a Lotro kind of guy. Now Final Fantasy XIV, more of RuneScape, that's been my prerogative. So hearing things like Torghast, hearing things like your dailies, because as you level up, I mean, it doesn't stop there. I mean, you got to go get your PvE gear, then you got to get your PvP gear, and then you got to had to do at that time Torghast. Not that I'm super sure what that is. I do the best to research which I can. WoW has never been my prerogative, unfortunately. Nothing wrong with the game. If you like the game, and that is your own right to like the game and spend your time as you see fit. I personally just don't have the experience with that. I'd like to learn more about it someday. I love going over game design, but I digress. We're getting a little bit into the weeds here. With an ever-increasing amount of things that demand the majority, if not all of your time, but you only have finite time to actually do things, including work, including sleep. Something that Kip doesn't do very well, I can assure you. Feeding your family, feeding yourself, making sure you got clothes, making sure your car and or vehicles and or transportation is serviced. I could go on. When you're given such a small amount of time to do things, but you have multiple things, many different factors clamoring for all of your time, what do? And for me, that answer is going to be you need to pick and choose what you do with your time. Your time is ultimately precious. Let's go with a non-video game example just to kind of push the point further outside of gaming as a content sphere. Say you're working blue collar, 9 to 5 or whatever hours that you're working, and suddenly it's your day off, right? You get a call from your boss and he's like, hey, I need you to come on in today. We're a little short staffed, this guy called out again, we just need to have you there, right? Depending on your situation, there are many different ways that you could take this, whether to deny that request, whether to fulfill that request, etc., etc. There's obviously financial incentives. There's obviously social status incentives here. There are many factors to consider in a decision like that. Your allotted time, your budgeted time at that point is is being encroached upon. Because now say you're working this 6-day week, you know, how are you going to get grocery shopping? And how are you going to go down to look at a car refinance or maybe a HELOC? How are you supposed to spend time with your kids? How are you supposed to spend time with your partner or partners? How are you supposed to build friendships, maintain relationships? All this stuff comes into consideration. So this subject does extend beyond just mere gaming. Furthermore, as a final example, let's do it as a cost-benefit analysis. If you have $1,000 in, say, your checking account or $1,000 on a line of credit that you have, and you see a subscription service, a hypothetical subscription service that you see that you hardly use, now go up to, hey, we're charging $25 for the base package per month. We are then also have a tier above it. We're charging $35, and we're also charging for our highest premium package $50 per month. And you look at that and you go, can I get the same fulfillment, if not more, with something else? In this example, if you are, say, going to cancel this alleged subscription service, and if you are going to move on to, say, another subscription service, or you're going to get rid of it entirely, take up a new hobby, take up a new profession, new tasks, etc., you are not only cost-benefit analyzing your finances, but you're also using cost-benefit analysis to figure out where your time is most respected and most needed. So with these 3 examples in mind, we're going to circle back to the issue at hand. At the end of the day, you have a finite amount of time. There are many things, both in our control and outside of our control, that require more of your time, or require most of your time, or even all of your time. There will always be things to do. There will always be things to occupy your time with. You should feel empowered as an individual or individuals, depending on your situation, to utilize cost-benefit analysis, not necessarily just financially, but looking at your own time and where you feel that it is best spent. I have run across many people that feel like they are obligated to do X, Y, Z, A, B, C. I've run into other people that say they want to do something, they want to continue doing something, support something, subscribe to something, continue engaging with something, but it's detrimental to their time. It could even be detrimental to them financially, it could be detrimental to them mentally, it could be detrimental to them physically. And in certain cases, there can't even be a factor of addiction in there. Addiction in all its forms is a very serious issue, and if you or someone you love or know is struggling with addiction, I do highly recommend getting a hold of the proper personnel to find out the best options for you. You should always be empowered to use your time, use your money, use your resources, use your life within reason, in ways that you feel are beneficial, that respect your time, that respect your money, that respect you as a person. It's honestly really not normalized enough. Obviously, there are true expenses such as bills, insurance, healthcare. There are many true expenses. You can't control everything, but in the things that you can control, you should absolutely feel as if it is in your court to make whatever decisions you feel are best for you and your time. I don't really see a lot of people talking about this or mentioning it, or even empowering people to make their own decisions, obviously within reason. And outside of true expenses and obligations, you should absolutely feel empowered to spend your time and money as you see fit. For legal reasons, I do have to say, if you are thinking about making a financial decision, if you are thinking about using your finances in specific ways, I can't recommend enough trying to get a hold of a financial advisor. I am not a financial advisor. I legally cannot give financial advice. I know that line is an oddity on YouTube. I'm doing what I can to be transparent and empower you to make educated decisions. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you think cost-benefit analysis does transfer over to time? Do you believe in there being a time to dollar equation? Let me know in the comments section. Please be civil as always. Please do not harass anybody else. All that fun stuff. And I will see you in the next one.